Hey, Stewart's Chapel, I want to call your attention to Isaiah 40, verse 29 through 31. Now, a lot of people know verse 31. We're going to start in verse 29 of Isaiah 40. Now, what is this?
Thursday.
This is Thursday's devotion. All right, so here we go. He gives power to the weak, and to those who have no might, he increases strength. Even the youths shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. The story I'm going to share with you today is actually a story of several years. I don't know all the story because somewhere in the midst of it, my wife and I and our family, God led us back to the United States. So I don't know all of it. In fact, some of you that are listening from Belize, you'll know some of this. You'll be able to fill in some of the gaps. And yet, some of the things that I will be sharing, some of you in Belize never knew because I kept them private. This is about a young boy that was named Willie. Now, a lot of people would jokingly call him Willie Pierson. He spent a lot of time with me. I loved Willie. Now, I don't know whether I can share this whole story as briefly as I need to be, so I'm going to have to leave out a lot. I encountered Willie when they were building our house, our mission home in Belize. Eduardo, one of the youth, we had hired him to stand guard, and one day I got there early, and before Eduardo was up, I walked into the house, and there was a young man laying on the ground, wrapped up in a blanket, and I assumed it was Eduardo. I went to the back and walked through, making a list of things that needed to be done that day, and when I got to the back, I saw another young boy wrapped up in a blanket, and I looked down, and it was Eduardo. And I said, Eduardo, who's up front? He didn't know there was anybody there. Whoever it was had come in after he had laid down for the night. So the two of us moved up, and when we got up there, he looked down, and he recognized the young boy. Now, at that time, Willie couldn't have been more than 11 or 12 years old. And at that time, Willie was sleeping wherever he could find a place. And Eduardo told me that. And I asked Eduardo, I said, do you think that would it help to have somebody else guard with you? And he said, fine. And so I woke up Willie, and he was terrified. He realized he had been caught. But I hired Willie. And from that point on, Willie was pretty much at my house all the time doing something. Now, Willie had some problems. He had a problem with stealing. One day I'm walking down the streets not too far from San Ignacio Baptist Church, and somebody comes up to me with a 35 millimeter camera wanting to sell it. I looked at it, and immediately I thought, well, that looks like my camera. And I said, can I see that? Well, I had carved my initials in most of my possessions, and I flipped it over, and sure enough, it was my camera. And I told the young man, I said, I'm not going to buy my camera. This is my camera. I said, it's been stolen from me. He said, where'd you get it? Well, he told me, Willie. Now, I talked to Willie, and Willie just laughed. That was the way he did. He just laughed, and he promised to me he wouldn't do that again. Well, he never stole from me again. But that didn't keep him from stealing. One day we were working, I don't remember where we were, and he was chopping with a machete, and I provided just about everything Willie needed, but I noticed that the machete was brand new, and I said, Willie, where'd you get that machete? Well, Willie really couldn't lie to me. He probably could, but he always chose not to, and he told me. He told me he had stolen it. He told me where, and so I told him, I said, we need to take it back. And so we took it back to the business that he had stolen it from, and we turned it in, and that shop owner was very kind and didn't do anything. But one day, Willie got mad at me. And he stayed mad at me for about a week or two. And on a Sunday morning, he went down to the cemetery where there were some horses that were, him and a couple of the boys, where some horses were down there in the cemetery eating the grass. He jumped up on one of the crypts to get on this horse, and this horse hadn't been broke. It wasn't a broke horse. And he got on that horse, and it threw him, and it snapped his back in two. Well, I'll make this story a little bit quicker. The people of San Ignacio Baptist Church, we wept. That hurt us. Everybody loved Willie. And we hurt because Willie was paralyzed. He went to Guatemala. He went to Mexico. He went to Belmopan Hospital. He went everywhere to try and get him to where he could walk again. It didn't happen. So we tried our best to get Willie where he could be a little bit mobile. When Trish and I came back to Belize, with hindsight now, we probably should have took Willie with us. Now, I don't know what that would have cost or anything like that, but the truth is we took the easy route way out, and we didn't bring Willie home with us. But in the long run, it seemed to have turned out for his good. Willie got his life right with the Lord, and he began to work with youth. And now I'm telling this story now because Willie's gone. Willie died. Best I know, he probably died of infection, but I really don't know what he died of. You know, Willie really struggled with his walk and relationship with the Lord most of his life. But I think at the very end, he really found a way to walk with the Lord in strength. Listen to this verse again. God gives power to the weak, and to those who have no might or strength, He increases strength. Even the youth or the young shall faint and be weary, and the young men shall utterly fall. But those who wait on the Lord shall renew their strength. They shall mount up with wings like eagles. They shall run and not be weary. They shall walk and not faint. I don't know what kind of walk you have with the Lord. It may not be what you think the Lord desires. The only way you will have that strong walk with the Lord is by yielding to Him and letting Him take your life. Sometimes some of us have to have something really bad happen to us before we seem to get it right. Willie got it right before he went to be with the Lord. He's running, walking, and I think in a way he can just about fly there in heaven with the Lord. I have some regrets when it comes to Willie. But I also like to think that I did some things right. Willie probably doesn't realize how much he taught me. In a way, I think he probably taught me more about loving the Lord than I did him. Love you, Stewart's Chapel.